Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a year you see all the time in your pocket change, 1976. It's the bicentennial year, famous for the special quarters and dollars, but what about the humble penny? Most 1976 pennies are worth, well, a penny. But hidden among the billions minted are a few key varieties and errors that can turn your pocket change into a small fortune. Stick with me, because in this video, we're counting down the top 4 most valuable 1976 Lincoln cents that you could actually find in circulation. Let's get started. Kicking off our list at number 4 is the 1976 D double die obverse. Now, double die is the king of penny errors, and the 1976 D is a very notable, though not the most dramatic, example. So, what is it? During the minting process, a hub, which stamps the design onto a coin die, impresses the design twice, but slightly out of alignment. This doubling is then transferred to every single coin struck by that faulty die. You need to focus on the Denver minted coins, the ones with the D mint mark. Grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's macro mode. The doubling on this coin is most prominent on the inscriptions. Look closely at the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." You should see a distinct doubling, a sort of a shadow or extra thickness to the letters, especially on the right side. This isn't the most famous double die, so it's somewhat affordable for an error coin. In well-worn, circulated condition, you could still expect $25 to $75, depending on how much detail is left. If you find one in nicer, uncirculated condition, you're looking at $100 to $200 plus. It's a fantastic find for any sharp-eyed collector. Coming in at number 3 an S mint mark on them. This is an incredibly rare error. We're talking maybe a couple of dozen known to exist. These weren't released into circulation, they escaped the mint in proof sets. So how could you find one? It's the ultimate long shot, but it's possible that a grandparent cracked open a proof set decades ago and spent the coins, not knowing what they had. Someone, somewhere, might have this in a jar of old coins. Now, if you miraculously find one, the value is astronomical. Even an impaired proof, one that's been lightly handled, is worth $5,000 to $15,000. A pristine example. They have sold at major auctions for over $30,000. So, if you ever come across a 1976 penny with a stunning, mirror-like surface, check for that mint mark. If it's not there, you've just won the coin collecting lottery. Alright, we're into the top 2, and this is where it gets really interesting for the average hunter. Number 2 is the 1976 Type 2 reverse. This isn't an error, it's a design variety. In 1976, the mint decided to change the font on the reverse of the Lincoln Memorial cent partway through the year. They made the letters of America and 1 cent thicker and bolder. A worn, circulated 1976 D Type 2 penny is still worth a significant premium. We're talking $5 even in lower grades, just because it's Type 1. In uncirculated, the value jumps to $50 to $150 or more. This is a variety you can absolutely find in a roll lip and along his jawline, making his lip look full and doubled, hence the nickname, Hot Lips. The doubling is also visible on his eye and the bow tie. This variety is officially recognized by Cherry Picker's Guide as FS 102, which is the gold standard for these classifications. This is the big one. Because the W is and desirable, the value is much higher. Even in a heavily circulated, worn-down condition, G4, this penny can easily be worth $150 to $300. Find one in extra fine or better condition, and you're looking at $500 to over $1,000. This isn't just the 1980 Lincoln Memorial penny. It's a coin that over 7 billion of were made. So, the short answer is, most of them are worth exactly 1 cent. But, and you know there's always a but, in the coin world, there are some key dates, specific varieties, and tiny little details that can turn this common pocket piece into a coin worth anywhere from a few dollars to, in one very specific case, over $1,000. So, if you've got a coin jar or an old piggy bank, stick around. We're about to become experts on the 1981 cent piece. First, let's set the stage. The year is 1980. Ronald Reagan is about to be elected president, The Empire Strikes Back is in theaters, and the U.S. Mint is busy making pennies, a lot of them. The 1980 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. It's made primarily of copper, but wait for it, not solid copper. Since 1982, pennies have been mostly zinc with a thin copper plating. But in 1980, they were still striking them from 95% copper and 5% zinc. That this is a key point for later. Just by its metal content, a 1980 penny is already intrinsically worth more than its face value. At today's copper prices, the raw metal in a 1980 penny is worth about 2 to 3 cents, but we're not here just to melt coins down. We're looking for numismatic value, the value to a collector. There weren't just one, but 3 different types of 1980 pennies made, at 3 different mints, no mint mark. A whopping 7 for 14, 705,000 made. That's 7 billion. This is your most common variety. Has a small, D mint mark. Even more were made, 5, 140, 098, 660. Over 5 billion. Also extremely common. Has an S mint mark. This is where it gets interesting. The San Francisco Mint didn't make these for circulation. They were struck exclusively for proof sets sold to collectors. So, if you find a 1980 penny in your if you find a 1984 penny in your change, it's most likely from Philadelphia or Denver. And the straightforward, perhaps disappointing answer for the vast majority of these is, their circulated value is exactly 1 cent. They were produced in the billions. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 8.1 billion, and the Denver Mint struck over 5.5 billion. So, in circulated condition, that is, worn, scratched, used in commerce, they are face value coins. But don't click away. Because circulated is the key word, and most doesn't mean all. This leads us to the single most important factor in numismatics, condition. A coin that was tossed in a register, jangled in a pocket, and dropped on the sidewalk is worth its face value. But a coin that was saved, protected, and preserved can have a premium. See the difference? A coin graded by a service like PCGS or NGC as MS65 red, meaning it's in perfect mint state with the original copper color still vibrant, can be worth a few dollars. For a 1984 penny, the red designation is crucial. A brown, toned coin, even if uncirculated, is worth less. Many people saved rolls of brand new pennies in 1984. That's why there are still so many high-grade examples out there. So, if you have a 1984 penny that looks like it just came from the bank, it might be worth $1 or $2 to a collector trying to complete a set. But the real money, as always, is in the mistakes. Remember I mentioned a third mint? San Francisco. In 1984, the San Francisco Mint did not produce pennies for general circulation. Their entire production was dedicated to proof coins. Proof coins are specially made for collectors. They are struck multiple times on polished planchets, giving them a brilliant, mirror-like background, called the field, and frosted, detailed design, called the device. They are sold in sets directly from the mint and are not intended to be spent. So, if you find a 1984 penny in your change, someone made a big mistake. It would have to be pool. Loses most of its premium, it's still a fantastic find and is worth well over face value, perhaps 50 cents to $1, just for the novelty and silver, if it were a dime or quarter, but you get the idea. Okay, this is what you've been waiting for. The reason we scrutinize every single 1984 penny. The errors and varieties. These are the coins that can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Let's talk about the 2 biggest things to look for. A double die occurs when the hub, the master tool that imparts the design onto a working die, impresses the design slightly out of alignment during one of the multiple hubbings. This creates a distinct, notched, doubling effect in the design elements. It is not the same as machine doubling, which is flat and shelf-like and adds no value. The 1984 double die is a known and valuable variety, primarily found on Philadelphia coins. The doubling is most prominent on the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date, 1984. A genuine 1984 DDO in uncirculated condition can be worth $150 to $300 or more. Even a circulated example is a significant find. This is a more subtle, but equally exciting variety. On some 1984 D pennies, there is clear doubling on Lincoln's ear. It looks like he has a double ear. This is a specific, collectible variety that commands a strong premium. A nice uncirculated example can fetch $50 to $100, where the D mint mark was punched into the die more than once, slightly out of alignment. Where the blank planchet wasn't centered properly when struck. The value depends on the percentage off-center. Where the coin is struck outside of the retaining collar, causing it to be wider and thinner than normal, these errors can turn your 1-cent coin into a coin worth $10, $20, or much more. Check the mint mark asterisk. Is it a D, no mint mark, or the rare in circulation S? Assess the condition asterisk. Is it worn, or is it lustrous and uncirculated? If it's pristine, it might have a small premium. Inspect for doubling asterisk. Get images online of the known DDO and DDE varieties. Look for obvious errors asterisk. Is it misshapen? Is the design off-center? Is the mint mark blurry or doubled? Don't clean it. If you think you found something valuable, never, ever clean it. Cleaning destroys the surface and the value. The hunt is half the fun. The 1984 penny is a perfect example of how a seemingly worthless piece of currency can have a hidden history and, potentially, a hidden value. It connects us to the art, the mechanics, and the occasional glorious mistakes of the U.S. Mint. So next time you get a penny in change, take that extra second to look at it. You're not just looking at 1 cent. You're holding a piece of history, a tiny work of art, and maybe, just maybe, a small treasure. What's the coolest coin you've ever found in circulation? Tell me in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into your pocket change. Until next time, happy hunting.